You. Yes, you. New or returning to Final Fantasy XIV in 2020? Well, this guide will help you. Probably. Or not. But listen here, little sproutling boy, I'm gonna tell you anyways. And you're gonna grow big and strong.
That's literally a cabbage.
You what? Back to making me money selling overpriced cabbage and not a word from you anymore. Now, where was I?
You were apparently going to teach me.
What?
What?
Waiting for me. Fine. Let's start.
Anyways, let's get started. To the beginning. Assuming that you have an account, or have created a trial account, let's get right into the game. Oh fuck. Glorious, we are now in Sproutling Boys. Now to make it easier for those who wish to see, let's enter the character creation. I have heard of people spending hours. Don't do that, ever. No matter your choices, you can always change using a Fantasia, which is awarded for free for completing the base game's quests, or buy one off the Mog station. Or if you can, our boy Jandelane will help you out for smaller things. No, not that. There are 7 races and a bunch of semi-sentient tater tots. Trials do not have access to the latest 2, the lion one and the bunny one. I don't know what they are called, as or best test. Different races have different stats, but they do absolutely nothing in the end game, so play whatever you want, and any class you want. The calendar and guardian deity have no meaning to your character except for RP, and we ain't filthy RP as Sproutling Boy, except always pick Ralga, he destroys things. After that we get to the class selection. As you can play any class in the game, this really isn't that important, except for the starting cities are different and the roles, although you will be pretty much at EPS for most content, as your first dungeon appears in the mid-teens. Gladiator and Marauder are tanks, Puglist, Lancer, Archer, Thaumaturge and Arcanist are DPS, and the Conjurer is a healer. Note that DPS has subcategories of melee DPS, range DPS and magic DPS, and certain skills which appear as role actions that are shared by that role will appear in the role section of the action and trace section of the character tab on the bottom right. Anyways, let's get started. As I don't need alts in the same server, I'll create a little test subject. In Twentania, as you enter the server you will notice a queue. There is always a queue, so do not worry as it goes pretty quickly. Unless there is a new expansion out, the first thing you should do is set everything up to a level of comfort. I like setting up the hotbars to an acceptable level, usually 3 rows as at 80. You will be using them. To make more hotbars visible, go to the system tab on the bottom right marked by a 14 symbol in Roman numerals, hit character configuration and find the hotbar tab. You can then select additional hotbars. You can have them in various configurations, so set it up the way you like. If you ever need any help, the official sites section can give you helpful information when it comes to the UI and everything game related. Next up are the keybinds. They are also on the system section under keybind. To change your hotbar keybinds, hit the hotbar section and swap them out as you please. Once you are content with your bindings, you can fix your HUD by going back to the system tab. Make your tabs pretty or just mush them together like yours truly. You can move them without entering the HUD interface by just grabbing the number on the screen and dragging them. You will also notice that there is a lock symbol. The lock means that skills cannot be removed from the hotbars, and it is best that you have it on at all times, unless you are removing things from the hotbars, as you can have some happy little accidents. Again, this does not mean that you cannot do this later. I just personally prefer doing it first and making slight adjustments depending on my needs. And in reality just one bar will suffice for a while anyways. I tend to have similar skills grouped for classes like buffs in a certain area of my hotbar, so at early levels my bars are spread. Also, I somehow forgot a very important skill, the limit break. If you picked a melee DPS you will be using it a lot more than the others, as your limit break is single target damage. The other two, mage is a circle AoE damage and range is a straight line AoE, can be useful whereas tanks reduce damage and healers limit break heals. And at tier 3 at a full party of 8 people revives people at full health. Please note that the limit break is shared and is not a personal thing, so if you use it your party members cannot use it. Anyways, let's get to the next part of this darn video. Right, my sproutling boys, I thought I was gonna retire this character off to the good old cabbage farms, but apparently I can't end my guide like this, so I will finish the first quest. Note that you will be spending plenty of time in all 3 cities, so do not worry about the starting position. I do love this city, Aldar. Everything is big and spacious. It's almost as though the leaders of this great city were compensating for something. No idea what though, maybe one day I will get to the bottom of this. You will see me skip the cutscenes here as I do this quest. I do not recommend that you do this, as you will not have a clue of what in the name of all that is cabbage is going on, and the story is one of this game's strongest points, and even if it does have its slow moments it is well worth to give the story time.
Ha 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 ha, you don't pay my sub, ha 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 ha.
Technically I do. You are just an alt I made just now.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg, and my arm, even my fingers.
Also, read any tips the game gives you. Once you complete this quest you will notice 2 things pop up on the top left. These are your more important quests. The top one is the main scenario quest which progresses a story, and the one under it is the class quest. Clicking on either will reveal its location to you, so you will always know where you are at the story. You've leveled up a bit and are now getting ready to do your first dungeon and your first few instances of group content, and have noticed that you have unlocked some extra things as you have progressed, these being the hunting log, challenge log and duty roulette. The hunting log and challenge log can both be found in the logs tab in the bottom right. Doing the hunting log for your class grants you bonus experience, and if you do it for your grand company it will grant you seals. You will also need to do the grand company log for other things in the game, so it is best you get it done. If you hover above the item in the log it will tell you the location of the hunt target and the general area. The challenge log are your weeklies, things you do every week for bonus experience and other things. I highly recommend that you do the feeling lucky one, as it grants you the most experience and is easy to complete. If you do 1 roulette a day, the challenge log resets every Tuesday. The duty finder as opposed to the latter 2 is on the duty tab. Here we find all dungeons and trials. Roulettes however can be done once a day for some bonus experience. The one that you unlock the first, the leveling roulette, is the best one for a new player as it grants a considerable amount of bonus EXP. Food is also a great thing to use. You can buy it very cheap, and it grants you a 3% bonus to EXP which ends up adding up to quite a bit, and for less than 10 gil it's well worth it. The final thing for experience is joining a free company. Free companies can activate buffs which grant even more experience, and in some cases also extend the duration of your cheap food. You can find free companies on the official forums, in-game via Party Finder and advertisements in the chat, or via Discord for your server or Elm. There is also an added benefit of having beans to do your group content. Also, before I forget, I forgot about the Hall of Novice. You can find these in any of the inns in the 3 cities, and near the starter dungeons. Doing the tasks grants you some decent armor, and also a ring which will suit you well till level 50. It also gives bonus experience till level 30. So please do the Hall of Novice tasks, they are easy, and tell you about your class's role. So now you have some fried lala, potatoes, some meat shields and some buffs to leech off. Yes, I speak from personal experience and know where the danky XP is that you're finally ready to get into the nitty and gritty of the game. Are still unsure that the class you chose and role you want to play, it is fine to change class, and I recommend that you give every class and job a chance. Blue, no, we don't speak of that class. Ever. As I stated before, there are various roles, but that is really in part true. At in-game there really is only 3 roles. DPS that gets hit constantly, which at times encompasses more than the traditional tanks and some floor tanks. DPS that heals occasionally, and DPS that gets hit by all the AoEs and dies. Okay, normal DPSs. People generally recommend new players to play DPSs as you can play undergeared compared to the tanks and healers, and if you die it is usually more forgiving as all the party needs is the healer and tank alive to finish the content. If either of that core battery is dead it usually means a wipe. But your boy Dio is here to tell you something controversial and to tell you not to play DPS, but instead play healer. At lower levels you're not expected to constantly be DPSing, and DPS tend to have tunnel vision, and tanking is usually done by people who have done the dungeon prior. Entering as a healer first timer allows you to see both other roles in action as the content isn't hard, provided your gear is loosely up to date and your tank is not. The queue time is also a lot better than that of the DPS, and it is an easier way to get those pesky commendations that now you're in a dungeon. Don't hesitate to greet your party members and thank them for the dungeon run. Always let the tank pull the mobs as that is their job. Another thing, and you will see me mess up here, is to attack the same enemy that the tank is attacking. Killing enemies as quickly as possible means less enemies, and that in turn makes for both a happy tank and a happy little healer. Now that you have completed the dungeon, thank the party for everything. If you wish, and give a commendation to who you so wish to. Usually people give them to tanks and healers, but don't hesitate to give them to the DPS too. Giving commendations grants rewards as it is also part of your challenge log. Tank, no. Why don't you want my commendation? No. Come back here. After you have rolled for the loot or passed on it, you are ready to leave, and the dungeon is complete. This will apply for all instanced things where you are in a group, except for instances that don't have a tank like Palace of the Dead. For most part that is this guide done and dusted. A few points and directed to trial accounts. Trial accounts cannot enter a free company and are limited to only playing until the end of Heavensward, the first expansion, which is a lot of content, and trials are asterisked from other content but none of it game crippling. It is worth noting that the expansions after it are worth it if you do end up liking Final Fantasy XIV. But the free trial is great as it allows you to experience the game and see if you want more. If you dislike it, it is fine. If you like it, that is fine too. Also note that this guide is rudimentary. You do not need to follow it to a T, and neither is this the most efficient way to play. This is just a general guide to give some direction and assurance. I did it initially for a person who has never played MMOs and was a bit afraid to venture into a new thing. I have never done any video editing, so the quality is quite bad, so using this and the voice has been a painful experience and time consuming, albeit fun. So if I was to summarize this guide as shortly as possible, play the damn game and let me grow my majestic cabbages. Take care, Sproutling boys.
Do you know why I play Aura?
No, why?
Because if you say the name Aura fast repetitively you get the best kind of reference.